Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 83 of the Swamp Creatures podcast. We originally had filmed this entire opening at the beginning of the episode, but unfortunately Tim is a dumbass and fucked up, so we have to come back and re-record all this over again. So, why am I recording this beforehand? Why not just jump straight into the news stories? Because something needs to be brought to the world's attention. Josh Hlavka, one of our fellow swamp creatures, has recently announced that he is running for vice chair of the Libertarian Party of the United States. And in the process of running for vice chair, he got the endorsement of the Libertarian Party Emo Caucus, which is currently ran by our good friend Ben Weir, who has been on the show before. Shout out to Ben, he rocks. I was very taken aback when Josh was endorsed by the Emo Caucus, because I know what Josh really is. I know what he really is deep down. And for this to be explained, I first must explain the band Gorillaz, founded by Damon Albarn from the other band Blur. You see, Gorillaz is known for a lot of songs, such as Clint Eastwood, Feel Good Inc., On Melancholy Hill, as well as many others. Now then, when the topic of Gorillaz came up around Josh, he made it clear that he only liked their first album because that album included producer Dan the Automator, as well as the rapper Del, the funky Homo sapien. Now, most of you might not know that. Josh would know that because of what he truly is. Josh didn't like anything by them other than that one album because of Dan the Automator and Del, the funky Homo sapien. Spoken, Josh was. Like a true hipster. Yes, for we all know what Josh really is. He is a hipster. He is not emo. He is a hipster. Anyway, on with the show. Thank you for tuning in to the Swamp Creatures podcast.
God fucking damn it. Welcome to the Swamp Creatures, everybody. You guys could only hear me. Wasn't it great watching their mouths move and not hearing anything about how Josh is a hipster? Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, if you didn't get any of that, I am over here at the Sowall House, or near the Sowall House. Outside of it, we're gonna do some comedy later. So it's over in Seaside, or 30A, near Seaside. If you don't know where that is, like where the Truman Show and stuff was filmed.
Nice.
Fun night.
All right. So Tim, what are you drinking?
I was getting excited for this. I wasn't paying attention to the levels. I found this Wild Turkey American Honey. Apparently they had another one. I was too scared to get it. It was Wild Turkey American Honey Sting, and it was bourbon, honey, and ghost pepper.
Damn.
I said, nope, not doing that. So
that sounds like that could be painful.
Yeah. So not doing
That's like
that.
one of those spicy. That's like just like the spicy honey or Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Fire honey or whatever.
I don't want it.
Well, I am here drinking a CBD kombucha per doctor's orders. So
nice.
Got something going this week at least.
You have like a witch doctor tells you to drink CBD kombucha?
He didn't tell me CBD just to get probiotics in my stomach. And when I saw the one was infused, I was like, why not? Swamp Creatures.
There you go.
Those poops are on fire with the spicy alcohol, and you've got excellent poops right now because you got the probiotics. So
nice.
That's all to know.
Nice.
It's all perfectly balanced, as though it should be.
There you go. We have confirmation that everyone's voice can be heard. You're welcome.
Perfect. Now we got everything going, and we'll be sure to have the better version up after this. So thank you, live chat. But moving on to our first story of today. This one is kind of still developing. It happened 2 weeks ago, but it doesn't appear to be over based on everything that's happened. Now, we all live in Florida, so the Disney Corporation basically owns part of our government here, along with the Seminoles.
Yeah.
And there has been a lot of stuff happening on the stock shareholders end of things, and it really caught my attention when Elon Musk started to dip his toes in all of this. So just to give you guys a little bit of context, shareholders are currently pissed at Disney because they're not making the money they used to. Their stock price has been absolute dog shit. And enter in an old white capitalist shark named Nelson Peltz, who has a track record of going to failing companies and turning them around. Peltz made a run at the board the year before this, and he decided not to go for it when Bob Iger capitulated what he wanted. And when things didn't improve, Nelson came back and tried to get on the board again 2 weeks ago. And shortly before this attempt to get on the board, he started getting very chummy with Elon Musk. And while he did unfortunately fail to get on the board this time, he's made it very clear that he plans on coming back around and doing this again next year. And since then, Elon has also kind of been coy here and there. Like, you guys know how I like to get kind of like cryptic with shit on this show from time to time just to fuck with you guys. Elon loves doing that shit with us, man. But just to give you an idea, here, I might as well show you guys just what we have in regards to... Bring up the first Elon video here.
Got it.
Cool. So basically, this was at the premiere for a movie called Lola. I haven't seen it, don't know anything about it, but Nelson Peltz and Elon Musk were both seen hanging out at this premiere. And here, if you want to, let's hit play here just to give you an idea. Or if it'll...
You got to hit the bottom.
Elon, Mr. Musk on the right. Hey, Elon!
Is he is he
Why-
actually...
I just-
Maybe he's going to...
Yeah, no, this next video will give you a little bit more context to that as well, because this was also at the premiere. But yeah, they've been trading compliments back and forth in public, where Nelson's been saying nice stuff about Elon, and Elon has been saying nice things on Twitter about Peltz as well. If anything, this kind of reminds me of the political things that we play here in the Libertarian Party, except with a stock in a company instead. And what's weird is how Bob Iger has kind of driven two of his enemies together.
Yeah.
But when asked about why he was hanging out with Peltz at the premiere, like here, this will kind of give you an idea.
Honestly, I just pulled this out of my closet, so...
It looks really, you look like a pilot.
Thanks, so I'm a pilot.
Oh, looking cool. So what brings you to the Lola carpet?
I'm just here with friends, thinking about companies to acquire.
Whoa, like Fab TV? Maybe you can acquire Fab TV, okay.
Of course, he walks away right before Lincoln's to ask his follow-up question.
in jail if you know what.
All right, there we go. Yep.
Hit pause on it. Cool, we'll get to that one here momentarily
I'm
as
just gonna
well.
fuck everything up tonight. That's what I'm going to do. Just gonna fuck it all up.
It's good. It's a work in progress. We got it. But so it seems like Elon's kind of positioning himself for something. I don't think he's going to buy like Disney or anything like that.
I don't
but
think he could afford Disney.
well, there's so much in. Well, that's where moving on to the next thing was. This kind of sent me down a rabbit hole to see who is on the board of Disney.
Yeah.
Mind you, Nelson, when he tried to get on the board, that's only 2 seats that he wanted. One for himself and this other guy who used to work for the company. And just to give you an idea of who some of these people are who are on the board, we always talk about a merger of state and corporate powers. This really is kind of concerning in some ways. So just to start off, obviously, you have people from like General Motors, of course, former people who used to work at Google. But for me, what the smoking gun was, the president of the Council on Foreign Relations, Michael Froman, is on the board.
He's the current president of the CFR?
He is the current president of the CFR, according to this, president of the Council on Foreign Relations and former vice chairman for a president. Yeah. Also, he's a part of something having to do with MasterCard Inc.
Wow.
So that I thought was the most telling thing. You look down, though, it's people from like Nike and CVS, and it really is just a bunch of corporations. Like it's more of a conglomerate than anything else.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like we were talking in the chat before. These are like all the companies that Disney owns, and there's a mass fuck ton of them. Like people know that they own like Marvel and Marvel Studios, and maybe they know that they own Fox and all this other kind of stuff, but they own like benign stuff too, like GoPro, and they're behind Hulu and ESPN and all those franchises.
Well, I mean, hell, we were just talking
the parks. Yeah.
we were just talking about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, even though they share us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
like
it's on there too. Yeah. They own Fox
so like
Sports.
It really is just
they own everything.
Really is just
it's almost like if you wanted to try to just avoid contributing to companies, not just Disney, but like BlackRock, anything like that, you just can't.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
You'd have to boycott a lot of cool shit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
you
just have to be like, am I supposed to memorize this? What looks like a map of one of their parks, the amount of businesses they own. Like I just, it's just too much.
Yeah, you can't watch Ancient Aliens if you want to boycott Disney.
And I think Elon might just be trying to get a SpaceX ride at Epcot, which would be cool. So that's my theory on it.
What happened to Mitch? We lost Mitch.
It's a Mitch show, so we're gonna need him. We're gonna need you, bud.
Well, he'll come back. So it's not just me. I'm in technical difficulties. Oh, he gone again. You're gonna be Mitch. You're Mitch. Run the show.
Don't you love the technological era we live in?
Very much so. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it seems like It seems like Elon is definitely playing some kind of game here. Like he's definitely looking to get something out of this. What it is, though, remains to be seen. I think it'll become more clear when we get closer to next year's shareholder meeting.
Right.
I mean, he is also like he's got Asperger's, so maybe just really likes Disney. Mitch, have you thought about that?
I mean, we know he loves Star Wars, so you might not be wrong there.
Who doesn't like Star Wars? Probably a hipster.
Hipsters like Josh Hlavka.
No, I mean there's a weird like concentration of powers, like you were saying, like all these top CEOs from all these major companies that pretty much run the world. You know, Morgan Stanley I see is in there. Just like a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, but what are you gonna do about it? I hope that this new guy, Nelson Peltz, I hope that he's taking it in the right direction. Like that it's gonna change Disney, because Disney used to be great. Like all the classic movies and stuff, those are the ones I show my daughter and my son. Like those are the movies that made Disney. This new shit is just fucking ruining. It's not only ruining the franchises, but it's souring the old ones, because you're like, damn, this used to be good, but now I don't even want to watch it because it's going to this new shit. And so, yeah, that's kind of
one thing they could do. One thing Disney could do to be better is just get rid of the pedophiles that are in there. So that'd be step number one for me. I don't know.
It's too easy.
The problem is that would require completely overhauling the company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Yeah.
Do it.
So sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you got to break the old wood chipper. I mean, break the old piercing the corporate veil out. You know, whatever so they call.
Chippy will make his appearance again. But anyway, I thought that was something just to bring up, because we here in Florida, we constantly deal with the Disney Corporation being one of the biggest political contributors down here.
Yeah. And it's a good example of just like a company to look at that does this, because government entities do this all the time, where they hire these people who are on the boards of private corporations. It's like a fascistic handshake, you know?
Is it,
Yeah.
or do you just want the best people? Like, if you have a company like Disney that's so fucking massive, who are you going to get to run that? Like, you need.
I don't think these people are the best people, like, because they do dumb shit.
Well, if I said best, what I meant was like biggest. Like, it's a huge fucking company. Like, you can't get the guy who runs Twitch to run Microsoft. It's just not going to happen. Like, he's going to be way out of his element, not know what to do. But if you have somebody who's from General Motors and somebody who's from some of these other companies that you mentioned before, and they're on some board that helps direct the company, that you could steer the behemoth. So is it fascistic, or is it these are the best people for the job because they have the experience dealing with these massive entities?
Well, that was one of the
it's
arguments. I'm kind of with Rob on this one, because the argument that they made against Nelson getting on the board was that he didn't have enough experience in entertainment. But looking at this board right here, like, sure, these people are good at business, but that doesn't really translate into entertainment, you know?
Yeah, well, if they listen to the box office and put the money into projects that people actually wanted to see and listen to customer feedback, then yeah.
But they don't, because they're retarded, and they're trying to push policies like all over the place in agendas. So, yeah. Next story, Mitch.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll keep up with this one as it develops, because I think this is long from over. But going on to our next.
Not gonna lie. Sorry. Just one more thing. That was a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be, especially with like all the entanglements that were pointed out. So I am interested in keeping up with this.
That's where it really gets interesting. Like, shit, fuck all the movies they're making now. Make a movie on this someday. But moving on with entanglements and whatnot, there's another expose recently where it came out that Mr. Alex Jones may have been set up in some way, shape, or form.
No.
Yeah, right? I know. I'm so surprised. Let's roll the clip here.
You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do.
How?
You set them up.
Does the Bureau practice entrapment a lot?
We get really close. We call it a nudge.
A nudge.
Sometimes you just gotta give them a quick little, just to see what happens. Sometimes you light the fuse and just wait for it to follow. Nothing like putting on a fake social media thing to like really get people mad.
Alex Jones.
Yeah, so we were after him.
You are?
We did what we wanted.
Which was what?
We took his money away, chopped his legs off.
Wow.
Gavin
Yeah, so this video goes into like the whole, how they came about it. It goes into much greater context, but that just brief clip just kind of breaks it down. So that's where I stopped it.
And
there.
yeah, the folks from Sound Investigations, they seem to be carrying the torch on from Project Veritas and doing a great job with these things as of late, where they for lack of a better way of phrasing it, they're basically catfishing dudes in the government to get this info.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like Mr. Alex Jones is the victim of something that came from them.
So did you guys watch any more of the interviews that he did with them? Because like we just played like little snippets from it, but did you guys watch the full thing? No.
I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I don't know the full details of that.
I watched most of it, and then I watched James O'Keefe's interview with. He interviewed a couple of people regarding that interview, and he also interviewed Alex Jones. So I would go check that clip out if you want to. It's on O'Keefe Media Group. But I mean, the guy also kind of alludes to like, hey, we may or may not have field agents at certain events, stuff like that. It's like, yeah, obviously. But this is a guy who's worked for the CIA and for the FBI. And it's like, okay. And the excuse is always the same. It's like he's on a date. He's trying to impress, whatever. I mean, I think he's telling the truth.
I brag about sabotaging other political rivals on dates all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, really gets those panties popping off.
Yeah, I don't. So what I saw in there was he was he was trying to take credit for the whole Sandy Hook thing. Like he was saying, like, yeah, we kind of coaxed the parents into it. They were a little hesitant, and we kind of just pushed them. Like that's what he's talking about. Sometimes they just need a little nudge and just try to get it into, I don't know, maybe a favorable jurisdiction where they knew they could take his money away. Like he said, I don't know. Like that whole case with Alex is crazy. I think we talked about it on the show when it happened. Like how much money they fucking tried to get him to pay. He's going to be fine either way because he's just going to declare bankruptcy and then make another company and people will support him because he's Alex Jones. But, it's the whole thing is crazy. And to think that there's not like some kind of like, even if the CIA or the FBI didn't start the fight between Sandy Hook parents and Alex Jones, to think that they didn't see that and be like, hey, yeah, we can give it a nudge. We can push this a little bit further. We can just do whatever. And I don't know why you would do that. Like it kind of gives him more credibility if something like this comes out and shows that that's what happened. So why would you want to it's kind of like shining an unnecessary light on it. You could just point at the things Alex says day to day and you could say, that's crazy. You don't have to kind of stick your finger in the water or put your thumb on the scale, but that's what they tried to do. Mitch froze out again. This is going to be a great show. Oh, there he comes. Does he come? Does he come, Rob?
Not this guy. I don't think this guy got to. I want to get when they're doing the undercover stuff like this, do they edit out the parts where he's obviously flirting and do they only get him talking about being an FBI and CIA agent trying to put the finger on the scale against Alex Jones or the January 6th or does he actually
you want to hear his pickup lines?
Yeah, I want to see I want to know what he's what he's trying to actually put on the table,
Yeah. It's like, so you like butt stuff?
And it's not just him. It's every single interview they've ever done. That has to come up, right? I don't know.
Well, that's why
I'm just imagining this guy at the office the next day. Yeah, I'm on this date, and every time I tried to bring up the butt stuff, he just kept on going back to my job at the CIA.
Yeah. So, what kind of piercings do you have?
That's why they say it's always highly edited video. It's like, are you sure you want to show the whole thing?
Well, that's where I wonder if it's kind of like that episode of South Park with the cop going undercover as the prostitute.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Who's this guy? Gavin O'Blen? Yeah. Gavin. Old Gavin's over here. They didn't show the part where he said he was going to suck my dick if I told him.
Yeah.
I told him some classified information.
Right.
Which everyone knows that's okay. Yeah, everyone knows that's okay to do.
I don't know, but Alex Jones is now threatening legal action if he can, so it'll be interesting to see how that pans out, if it does at all, because something tells me they'll probably find some loophole or deny it or something.
Yeah, I mean, you can only sue the government in a very limited scope. I mean, if they allow you to in some instances. And here, it's kind of like you have two intelligence agencies who are, if everything is true, who are allegedly putting their finger on the scale of a political pundit to essentially, to take Gavin's words from what he said, cut his legs out from under him. It's dastardly behavior. It goes against the freedom of the press, really. And to such a punitive, amount, it's almost insurmountable.
Right.
There should be some sort of recourse. Because I could have seen just same thing with all this lawfare going on against Trump. It's at a certain point, the other side's gonna have to start doing this too, or we're just going to be using the justice system as a weapon against people for their political beliefs.
Right.
And by the way, I passed the bar.
Nice. Congratulations.
Right. Finally made it.
Yeah. So now,
Yeah.
moving forward, whenever we bring up legal stuff, we have to send it to Rob ahead of time so we can get his professional opinion.
No, yeah, I'm still going to say it's not legal advice because if it's live
I
on a
didn't ask
show.
for your advice. I asked for your opinion.
Yeah, but I still got to say it. If it's live on a show, let me go look at it after. But I'm pretty, maybe I will try to be Alex Jones's lawyer and we can sue the government and see what happens.
Yeah. I think he's going to want someone with a little more tenure.
Well, you know what? I'm cheap, so that's fine. Come at me, Gavin.
All right. Well, moving on to our next segment here, we have quite a bit of things to talk about. Originally, I was going to call this "Are we in Cold War II or World War III?" But after the past week, we might be closer to World War III.
Yeah.
But
What
diving
are you
right
talking
in,
about? Yeah.
just diving right in here. I have a video here from Dave Smith of what was this guy's name again? Tim, you said it right
It's
before
right
the
there. Anthony Blinken.
Anthony
Yeah.
Blinken.
Dave
Thank
Smith's comment was they want World War III, and so he has a video that he linked in connection with that.
Support for Ukraine, the determination of every country represented here at NATO remains rock solid. We will do everything that we can, allies will do everything that they can to ensure that Ukraine has what it needs to continue to deal with Russia's ongoing aggression against Ukraine, an aggression that gets worse with every passing day. Ukraine will become a member of NATO. Our purpose at the summit is to help build a bridge to that membership and to create a clear pathway for Ukraine moving forward.
But, of course, we believe that Ukraine deserves to be a member of NATO and that this should happen sooner rather than later.
That's pretty fucking crazy because that's always been a red line for Putin to say, like, if Ukraine joins NATO, that's fucking it. Gloves are off. And so
now they're just saying it out in the open.
there's like, bring it.
Yeah, it's almost like that's what this whole thing was about, you know?
Was
but
into NATO or what?
Yeah, bringing Ukraine into NATO, and then pushing the ethnically Russian people closer to this. In Putin's view, oppressive government to those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Mitch.
No, I was just gonna say, that was always the red line with Putin, and he's made it abundantly clear, even after the Maidan coup back around, 2013 or something like that, when the coup happened. You even had those people from the Obama administration going on the Daily Show and basically bragging, yeah, we just took Robin away from Batman, ha ha ha. It's like, what did you expect? You're basically poking the bear. But even then, looking at the situation in Ukraine, what's been kind of crazy, it seems like there's been kind of a silent situation brewing between France and Russia. Macron has straight up not ruled out sending troops to Ukraine.
I got it. Yep.
Yeah, you're good. We have this thing from Politico, basically, where Macron has made it abundantly clear that he has not ruled out Ukraine. Let me get the quote up here so we can read it in full. All right. And basically, he looks at Ukraine as an official manner, but that nothing was excluded. That's not it.
Yeah.
Where do we have it?
Macron stands by his remarks to send out troops to Ukraine. America has been, there's been a bunch of other countries that said they wouldn't do it. We covered it on a previous show where there was a bunch of
Britain
countries.
said no. I believe Finland said no. Poland said no. And I think I know why Macron is open to this. Okay. The reason why I originally called this segment "Are We in Cold War II?" was because there's a series of what can only be called like proxy situations going on in Africa. Here, if Tim, you want to open up that map here real quickly. So basically, here's a map of all these coups that have happened in Africa over the last few years. And all of these places were former French colonial states. If you don't know, France still kind of has control over their former colonies to some degree. And these military coups were backed by Russia and the Wagner Group, now rebranded to a different name. And since then, this different coalition has come out as very anti-France, very anti-West, extremely pro-Putin. So here, let's bring up the other video here, and I could just give you an idea of what it's like there on the ground, because it's interesting to say the least.
Right here.
So now we're going to see some footage here of what we have going on.
This looks like a big party.
Yeah, right? Like, they're being treated like conquering heroes.
Coups have become frequent in Africa. This year, the military took over in
Is that a
Gabon and
Ukrainian
Niger,
flag? Blue and yellow.
and they were welcomed by civilians with open arms.
And welcome like the Beatles.
Since 2020, there have been 7 successful coups in Africa. It started with Mali, then Sudan, Chad.
But yeah, you see how it is, they are much more treated not as bad. You know, the people are very much so in favor of these coups because of the past being a part of the French colonial system.
So what's your theory on this then? Like, you think France is more willing to send troops because why?
Because they're having to deal with Russia interfering in their former colonies, and now all these former colonies are breaking away. And some of the countries that have remained a part of the France system have basically threatened to have a national D-Day to liberate these countries, to which these countries have then said, if you come after any one of us, we'll all come to the other one's defense.
Like NATO?
So
Yeah.
yeah. So the former Wagner group, what's the name of their new what they rebrand as?
No idea.
It's a much more official Russian sounding name now. Like it was,
Okay.
you know how Wagner
so
was.
they're basically backing. They're basically the ones backing all these coups. Is that what you're saying in Africa?
They are the ones who have been very much so involved on the ground level of being involved in this. But that's not to say that Russian special forces or anything else isn't involved. Actually, in that same video here, I can pull this up. Vladimir Putin has been very involved with the leaders in all of this. Here, I'll find the exact moment here. But Putin's straight up having summits with these guys.
Gotcha. Russia-Africa summits. Yeah, I see that.
The people of Niger see the French leaving as the final step of decolonization, and they thank their military for it. France has lost its influence in Africa and is being removed from the Sahel. Because the African generals decided to take matters into their own hands, and they have found a new friend, Russia.
Yeah.
BFFs.
Was he about to walk on stage?
In the
or
month of
something?
July, Russian President Vladimir
There he
Putin
is.
hosted a dialogue with African nations in St. Petersburg. At a time when Putin is facing a global cold shoulder, African nations were happy to engage with him. Putin has become almost like a messiah in the Sahel region. His posters and banners can be seen at every anti-France rally. West Africans don't see Russia as a colonial power. They see Putin as a leader who stands up to the West. Russia too gains a lot from this popularity. Putin has sent his Wagner troops to provide security in the region.
And that, that just gives you an idea what's going on over there. And
Yeah,
funny thing,
Go ahead.
the Russian flag is now very popular over there. So like that is, Russia is kind of becoming the loved ally to them.
I mean, it makes sense to me. And same thing with like China and the Belt and Road Initiative. Whenever they go in with briefcases and they say, "Hey, look, we're not going to try and influence your policies with how the Western world has been influenced by a lot of these." I don't like using the term woke propaganda, stuff like that. But like even back, I think it was in 2016-ish, Obama was trying to get into Africa, and he was saying, all right, if you want to do business with the United States, you have to have gay marriage. And then the country was like, no, whatever. I forgot which country it was. They were like, no. And then they went and took the contract with China instead. It's like, that's just going to happen. And so it's maybe the same thing's going on here. But yeah, I can see why France would be like, hey, you're taking our colonies. We're not going to be afraid to put troops on the ground in Ukraine. But that's like a major escalation with a NATO ally that probably should not happen.
Yeah, we can hope, but it seems like France is the most gung ho as compared to all the other countries that have said no.
Yeah,
so.
I think.
And I was sorry, guys. I'm about to have to leave, but I will say this: the Ukraine-Russia war is so 2023. I think it's time for you guys to move on to Israel and Iran. That's the new war. So that's the one. That's the one that's going to be hot now.
No one cares about them.
Black, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the door's just open. I'm gonna go get my set ready. So thanks for watching.
Yeah, I gotta bump him out of here so we can. There we go. Perfect.
There
He
we
did it
go.
himself. So yeah,
Back to the two-man group.
yeah. So I don't. So what you were saying before is like you think like that France is going to be more inclined to send troops over there because they have these vested interests in Africa, and Putin's playing a big role like in countering that and bringing his own influence, spreading his own influence, and putting his own people in power. I see that angle. But that doesn't explain why NATO is acting the way that they're acting. I think what better explains that, like maybe France has their interests, of course, and they want to play to that as much as possible. But the rest of the world, the rest of NATO, that's being so gung-ho against Russia and being so for Ukraine just because they're against Russia, basically, because they're not great. They're not like, it's not like things in Ukraine are so much like America. Like we don't really have that much in common. If you look at like some of their laws and some of the practices and culture and everything like that, they probably have more in common with Russia. So taking that into account, what reason does the rest of the world have in being involved in Ukraine's losing battle against Russia? Because they're not going to win. They're not going to win this war, no matter how much money gets thrown at it. It's right next to Russia. Like we have to take out Russia if you want to save Ukraine. That's how you do it. Like if that's your goal is to save Ukraine, you have to get rid of Russia. So what's the motivation for doing that? Well, Russia for a long time has gone against NATO. He's against the very existence of NATO, but he's gone against so many other things historically that NATO and NATO allies have tried to do. And another great example of this is the BRICS countries. You know, the R in BRICS is for Russia. They want to get away from the United States being the world reserve currency. They want to go to some other currency. They've talked about baskets of currencies. They talked about commodity-based currencies. They talked about all these kinds of things. He's even talked about Bitcoin in the past as being a possible solution for it. So I think that that's where the real motivation for this comes. Maybe like France is a little, gung-ho because they have a vested interest against Russia. And so they're willing to stick their necks out for them. But I think at the end of the day, the reason why NATO is welcoming Ukraine into the fold and trying to push this war with Russia is not even so much for the military industrial complex, which again will just happen to benefit other vested interests. I think the real fight is that Russia is standing up against globalism and the world order, and he wants, and I'm not saying he wants to make it better. Like, I'm not saying he's the good guy. He wants to have his own world order, clearly, because he's putting in his own people in Africa, but it's different to the world power that's in control now. And so because of that, he has to fall.
Well, that's where I say this reminds me of Cold War. Reminds me more of a Cold War II than anything else, where it's like you just have all these little proxy situations. Like even as Rob said before he left, Israel, Palestine, and Iran, like you bet your ass Putin and some of the BRICS countries have their hands in that, and it's probably on the side of Iran.
Yeah.
Actually, didn't Iran officially join BRICS finally?
Probably. Yeah, it was either India or Iran. I can't remember which
one.
Well,
in India, I know is already the I in BRICS, but there were a few countries that applied to join BRICS.
Yeah.
Which Argentina was one of those countries, which I think that's why the U.S. foreign policy likes Malay, because even if they're not necessarily libertarians, they just want someone who's not going to go to the arms of Russia.
Right. Yeah, and that was the one thing I didn't like that Malay said, is that he wanted to back his currency with the USD. But I'm sure, but again, that kind of feeds into what I was saying before. That like you said, he's going to be somebody who's going to play ball, even if he doesn't play the same way they play. He's going to play ball.
And I can't speak for Malay. I don't know him, but I feel like if we were to talk with him about these, like, yeah, no, I'd love to go to gold. You know why I don't do that? Because I want to live.
Yeah. Hey, you got to make choices. Everything's a trade-off. I don't know. I think that there's more at stake here, and you definitely see it. Rob brought up the Israel-Iran war that's about to start, if it hasn't already. Because they made this huge missile strike recently against the Iron Dome, and people have said that Iran is just doing this for show, because they told Israel, we're going to bomb the shit out of you. It's going to happen on this day. We're going to fire this many missiles. Get ready, because it's coming. And they pitched it as like, this is a humanitarian effort. We're just trying to hurt Israel, not necessarily Israelis. And then the Iron Dome comes out. It saves the day. There's this huge fireworks show. And so Iran knows if they would have actually hit Israel, that would have been massive. I think they fired something like 1,000 missiles at Israel. And so Israel's bragging about it. We stopped all these fights, but this is just another war where battle lines are being drawn. Iran, Israel, China versus the world. Like, we are setting the stage in multiple locations for a World War III. It just hasn't lit that fuse yet. And I'm curious if Ukraine does join NATO, are we automatically at war because Ukraine is at war?
Yeah, that's the big concern with that. That's where, I'm sure you and I hope that this war in Ukraine just ends and, let Eastern Ukraine just fly off and be its own fucking country or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, then great, Russia has their little bumper state that they want, and Ukraine could just join NATO, end of story. But unfortunately, I don't think that's what the people in charge want. Like, there's this weird mentality where it's almost like the neocons and the Democrat types think that you can fight a limited war against Russia and China. Like, you ever notice that? It's almost like their idea would be, oh yeah, it'll be like when we invaded Iraq.
Yeah, the so-called moderates.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you people don't know what war is. This isn't going to be invading Afghanistan.
Yeah, I think this only ends in one of two ways. Either the world gives up on Ukraine and lets Russia take it, and then that kind of ends that conflict, and then we move on to the next phase. Or the world declares war on Russia, and we go to where empires go to die.
Yeah, another region.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it.
I don't know. Well, the next thing I had listed here, unfortunately, our new resident lawyer is not here to see the first person he'll be going up against in court. Well, I guess
I'm switching it over. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, just to brighten the mood, I guess.
Yeah.
His first day in court, and this is who he's up against.
Yeah.
Okay, let me check on that. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, look at the nips. The voice really threw me off too.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of that dude from the shop teacher.
About my client?
Yeah.
I just met her. She's really nice. She's really smart. She sounds like she's got the right idea about things. I really support what she's up to, and I think it's fabulous.
I don't think they, in all the videos, because I was trying to find this video, because this is the one you tagged. Even in this video up here in the title, they call her the transgender lawyer. This is a drag queen. This doesn't come across to me as somebody who's, I mean, they go by Stephanie, so whatever, but it doesn't come off to me as a transgender. It comes off to me as a drag queen, an over-sexualized woman character that a man is playing.
How about
isn't that kind of what drag queens are?
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a transgender is somebody who identifies as a woman because they feel like a woman. A drag queen over exaggerates features of women and pretends to be a woman knowingly. And that's what this looks like to me.
God, the huge fake tits, the big lipstick,
everything.
She's
the
accused
gigantic
of
eyelashes.
Criminal trespass.
In the first degree, yes.
Is she innocent or guilty?
She's innocent, of course.
She's innocent, okay. Well, she's caught on video being arrested and allegedly protesting. So I'm trying to get all sides. So
my client has pled not guilty. My name is Stephanie Mueller. I'm in the directory for the Washington State Bar Association. You could look me up.
Okay, so Stephanie, thank you for your time. At this point, your client is being arraigned, though.
It's all just happened. Her hearing is over.
Got it.
It's done.
All right. Do you know when her next court date is?
I do.
I'd like to maybe just keep tabs if they're.
I think that's a great idea.
Could you tell me when that is?
No.
Oh,
Take
okay.
care.
Thank you.
I think how can you defend your client? Well, I think they're great. I think they're innocent in what they're doing, and they got them on camera doing exactly what they're accused of. Yeah, that's cool. This was the post that the video came from. Andy Knows post. Seattle trans criminal defense attorney Stephanie Mueller is representing far left activist Iris Boardman, who was charged of trying to shut down a city council meeting demanding more housing for illegal immigrants.
Man, what is up with all the crazy shit happening with city council meetings as of late?
Dude, I knew you were going to ask that question before because, I don't know why I went to this one. I'm sorry.
Are you about to talk about the crazy Indian woman who threatened to murder all of them? Yeah.
Yes, she walked out there she was like, I'm going to kill all of you or you're all going to die. Just threatened to kill, straight to their face. And then it was in Bakersfield or Bakersville or something like that, someplace in California. Yeah. And they arrested her because they're like, you just made a threat. You're fucking arrested.
You can't threaten to murder the city council.
Yeah, like duh. Yeah, no, fucking crazy. I mean,
Yeah, fucking lunatic leftists. No other way to put it.
That's how it's like on the far left coast, man. It's fucking
Yeah.
Anyway, Pat says that lawyer's way hotter than Rob for sure, and his new favorite lawyer. I wish I could grab that. I don't know why it's not working.
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe the Swamp Cast should get a new lawyer.
Oh, damn. Well, if before today I would have said, well, at least it's a real lawyer, but Rob passed the bar, so congratulations.
Yeah, we can't give up on Rob.
Yeah.
But talking about legal stuff too, earlier today we had some interesting stuff going on with Donald Trump.
Yeah, they can't hear you yet. Go ahead and set it up.
Gotcha. We'll get that all set up. Thank you, liberal hive mind, for having the clip this week. But yeah, the left is going after Trump in every way, shape, and form in these court. And it's getting to a point where it's blatant, you know? Like, I'm no fan of the guy, but, like, it gets to a point where it's like, you know, Donald Trump, we're libertarians here. Donald Trump isn't our racehorse.
Right.
But it gets to a point where it's like, okay, he clearly isn't their racehorse.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, all the ways that they come after him turns him into a martyr. It's kind of like what I was saying about Alex Jones earlier. It's like, why would you go to those lengths to take somebody down? Because you're only making them look more credible. You're only making them look like they're the people in the right when you go so far out of your way to try to make them into the villain. And that's kind of what happened here. So this is a clip. It wasn't originally going to be on the show, but this kind of happened like today or yesterday. Trump's hush money case, the Stormy Daniels case, the giving the money to the porn star to keep her silent about him while he's running for president, to make him not look bad and all that stuff. That case is just now going into court. The trial has officially started. They say like this is the one where they're looking at jail time for him. Like it's usually a misdemeanor charge for like spending money in a certain way. They've upgraded it to a felony charge. So this is a criminal felony case that they're trying to prosecute him on for hush money.
And in my opinion, before you hit play, the only thing Donald Trump is guilty of is going with probably the least attractive porn star.
Yeah,
His tits just look so fake.
Well, she's a porn star.
Yeah, I know, but like, there's a level of I don't know.
Faker, hers or the transgender attorney.
Oh damn! Oh man!
You think about it, and we're gonna push play. Here we go.
The judge of the case just announced that Donald Trump must be present every day of trial, and if Donald Trump doesn't show up, well, he's going to arrest him. Take a look at this statement made by the former president outside the courtroom.
So thank you very much. We had some amazing things happen today. As you know, my son has graduated from high school, and it looks like the judge will not let me go through the graduation of my son, who's worked very, very hard. He's a great student. I'm very proud of the fact that he did so well. And I was looking forward for years to have graduation with his mother and father there. And it looks like the judge isn't going to allow me to escape this scam. It's a scam trial. Will allow me to leave here for a half a day, go to D.C. and go before the United States Supreme Court because he thinks he's superior, I guess, to the Supreme Court. We got a real problem with this judge. We have a real problem with a lot of things having to do with this trial.
So, like, he's going to get ready to go into, like, some of the motivations behind it. But, like, so far, it kind of cut off in the beginning there for a moment. But the court has ordered him after this first day of trial that he has to be present in court every single day of the trial. Otherwise, risk immediate arrest. Like, fucking nuts, dude. So then he goes into some Trumpisms, which you just heard, but he's about to break down what he thinks the motivations are for it. And it's kind of hard to dispute him.
The DA, because you go right outside and people are being mugged and killed all day long, and he's sitting here all day with about 10 or 12 prosecutors over nothing. Over what people say shouldn't be a trial. So I just want to thank you very much, but that I can't go to my son's graduation or that I can't go to the United States Supreme Court, that I'm not in Georgia or Florida or North Carolina campaigning like I should be. It's perfect for the radical left Democrats. That's exactly what they want. This is about election interference. That's all it's about. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so those are pretty much his statements about the whole thing. Yeah.
I mean, shit, tell me when he's telling lies.
Yeah, for real. I mean,
like, once again, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but it's like, fuck, at some point, it's just like, goddamn, you people just don't stop.
Yeah.
Also, shame on the government script writers for rehashing this story from several weeks ago. Come on, guys, get more creative.
Yeah, well, it's the same. It's the same accusations and all this stuff. But I just I don't see how they have a case. But they fined him for like $500 million or whatever the fuck it was. So why can't they find him guilty on this too? And a point that Styx Hexenhammer made about this whole thing is how say they do find him guilty and he does get sentenced to prison time. How exactly does that work for a former president? How do you put Secret Service in? Are you going to imprison Secret Service as well? Do you violate their rights just so they can keep Donald Trump in a cell? Do you put him on house arrest? Does he still have access to communicate with the public? Logistically, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, and it creates that question of, is this going to be the threat? The people who are trying to do these things, are they aware of what threads they are pulling?
Yeah.
You are pulling a thread that could lead to civil war too.
Yeah, Tim Pool might be proven right if this happens.
It seems like Tim Pool's getting a lot right recently between World War III and Civil War II. So
yeah, I don't know, man. I think that this doesn't do anything but help him. And I'm gonna steal another point from Styx because it was a great point and he makes great points. But he said, win or lose, this is a win for Donald Trump, because if he gets found innocent, then he's been set free. Trump's free, and this whole thing, the worst case they had against him falls and fails again, and whatever. He's the hero. If he gets convicted, he's still the fucking hero because now he's a major underdog, and a whole bunch of people are going to change their votes, or people who were on the fence and thought he's exaggerating. They're not persecuting him. These are legit things or whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know how yeah.
Shit, man. I'll even speak from the heart. Because of how fucking terrible the LP cycle has been this year, I can't help but look at Trump and think, fuck, maybe just send the bull back into the China shop again.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that think that way. People that are like I said on our last show, we were talking about predicting, what RFK's percentage was going to be. I think when people get to the poll, whatever they say right now, that they're going to vote for LP, that they're going to vote for the Green Party, that they're going to vote for Cornel West, they're going to vote for RFK, say whatever you want now. When the day comes, people are going to make a choice. And I think, I still think that Trump has a really great chance at winning. And things like this make it even more certain.
Yeah. No, they definitely help his case on the campaign trail. And I don't know, man, we'll definitely have to cover it more as it goes along.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But speaking of the far left and everything, wow, NPR finally had someone come out and have the balls to call them out for being absolute leftist shitbags.
Yeah. Here, I got to go back to the top of this thing. But yeah, go ahead, set this up.
No, you're good. Anyway, NPR, and no one has paid attention, NPR has just been on a horrible decline and becoming very biased towards progressive views. Obviously, we could cite, a lot of stuff we're about to talk about here is discussed in this whole article, this expose that this whistleblower released, and I highly recommend going and checking it out. But NPR, aside from releasing hilarious articles like, here are racist names of birds, I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
They have also been horrible on things such as the Hunter Biden laptop, COVID, and it's just been unbelievably slanted towards the left.
Yeah. No, it's
and
crazy.
this guy finally had the balls to come out and say it, and now he's being punished for it by being suspended without pay.
Yeah, so the summary that I got for this article, because it is fucking long. So we're not going to read all that on here, but a quick paragraph summary of the thing from an undisclosed source. The writer, a longtime NPR editor, discusses how NPR's journalism has shifted in recent years towards a progressive worldview, losing diversity in both audience and viewpoint. Throughout the article, they cite examples that focus on Russiagate, dismissal of Hunter Biden's laptop story, and a bias in their COVID reporting, just like Mitch was just saying. The CEO's emphasis on systemic racism and diversity initiatives furthered this trend, and the lack of ideological diversity within NPR staff is highlighted, virtually with no Republicans in any editorial positions at NPR. Despite declining trust in diversity in audience, the writer argues against defunding NPR, instead advocating for internal reflection and a return to journalistic principles. This guy, towards the end of the article, starts to express hope for the new CEO who's recently taken over NPR to prioritize impartiality and open dialogue. So reading that summary, I think it's ridiculous that he doesn't want to take their public funding away. But
they shouldn't be publicly funded.
Yeah.
They really shouldn't be. If they're going to only cater to one side of the aisle, they should be another journalistic outlet like anyone else.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
The problem is they try to fashion themselves as the official state approved media.
Right.
And, us as libertarians, we're inclined not to believe the state anyway, but there's a lot of fucking stupid people out there who will look at this and think, well, they're not some corporation like Fox or CNN, so they have no reason to lie to me.
Yeah. No.
That's all they fucking do.
I think NPR is the perfect case against publicly funded election campaigns. Like, that's something that I think Andrew Yang has talked a lot about, is wants to have I don't remember what he calls them, democracy dollars or freedom dollars or whatever the fuck it's called. And the Young Turks have picked it up and they really support the idea too. Basically, the idea is that there's going to be a pool of money that they give out to everybody so that everybody can contribute that money to whatever candidate they support or whatever. I think that that NPR just kind of showcases why that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
All your publicly funded money is going to go in the exact opposite direction that you want it to.
It's all going to get siphoned in one way.
Right.
Like, even if you would like to think, everyone will get a fair amount and the playing field will be even for everyone. No, it won't.
So I don't know anything about the new CEO of NPR. Do you? Because
I know a little bit. Some folks on Twitter were going through her LinkedIn and seeing some of the things she has worked at in the past. It was not very inspiring in the sense that, this shows that this is going to be good for the future. But there wasn't really anything that made me go aghast. Like, there were things that like, that's shitty, but it's not as much of a smoking gun as the CFR guy from earlier in the show.
Previously CEO at Wikimedia. I mean, they had she's got
it might be her.
Dude, she got her in her profile.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you knew who the new CEO was and if you thought that it was going to go in a more positive direction. My answer is no.
Yeah, that kind of tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah,
like,
really
something tells me she's not putting pronouns up for the same reason Michael Malice is.
Oh, look, yeah, this definitely her because other people are pointing out who she is. Oh, shit. Yeah. That's her?
The mask, the Biden thing, the Black Lives Matter sign. Yeah, I'm sure she'll be unbiased.
Jesus Christ. Well, whistleblower, I got bad news for you. I do not think that this lady's going to be any better.
The whistleblower seems like a nice fellow, but he is delusional in the sense that this thing is even worth salvaging. And I guess I'll say it right now. Some point after this episode is aired, go buy defund NPR shirts from 1776swag.com.
There you go. Good.
Coming soon.
Yeah, nice.
All right, but I got one final thing here today, and we've been having fun going through all these different UFOs, space, Bigfoot, and all that jazz. And since we've been diving into those more, just to set the stage, this is an old clip from Art Bell's show. And dude, when I was a kid on the early era of the internet, like 2007, 2008, I heard this, and it scared the living piss out of me.
It just, you might not know who Art Bell is, but you know what Coast to Coast AM is. So, yeah.
Yeah, Art Bell ran this show called Coast to Coast AM where people would call in and have these wild stories. And this one was one that's just like, there was a guy who called in some years later. You know what? Let's just roll it first and I can tell you afterwards.
Okay.
Hello, Art?
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. They're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really, really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
At this point,
Discharge.
the audio begins to drop out and then cuts off completely.
And just to give you an idea, that went out for several minutes.
I started getting...
This has never happened before on Art Show. They say it was a disconnection from the entire radio station, not his phone.
Well, this was certainly interesting. We are now on a backup system, everybody. A backup system. And that one caller that I had on the air, I guess we were about in the middle of his transmission, his telephone call, which was one of the strangest ones I've ever had. And the entire transmitting system by satellite went down here, and we were notified we were off the air. And it would appear to be from this end and some sort of massive transmit failure. So we are now using a backup system to be on the air. And not that I would normally believe this kind of thing, mind you, but I can't help but wonder if somebody zapped us in some way. We'll find out.
Yeah, the kind of crazy stuff, how it went out. I don't know if this is what I mean. Like it's turning into a theme of the show, because why would you infiltrate Alex Jones's thing, and why would you like come out and admit to it? You're just making him look more credible. Why would you go after Donald Trump for all these stupid stuff? You're just making him look more credible. If this was a takedown of the transmission, before the takedown, I'm thinking this guy's let out on medical discharge. He's hyperventilating. He's obviously whining, like whatever. Maybe he's just doing it for theatric effect, attention, whatever. Why would you cut the feed? Like he's already discrediting himself, in my view. Cutting the feed only gives more credibility. Not to say I believe him, because I don't, but, you know. And then also he proved Alex Jones right. They're interdimensional beings. So,
yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like, man, he talked about this. This was like 1998, this episode. So like,
yeah.
This came out long before Alex went on Rogan and talked about that.
Yeah.
But there was a guy who called into Art Bell's show some years later who claimed to be that guy from the phone call and that he was just fucking around.
Oh.
But when he was asked to do the voice and everything again, he kind of did an impression, but it didn't really sound right.
Okay,
but you could also say years have passed and someone's voice has changed too. So
well, their voices change and technology changes too. Like the way you talk, like cell phones have a lot better quality now than they did 10 years ago, and better than they did 10 years before that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Not
Either way,
not your headset though. Your headset still has terrible cell phone quality. No.
Thanks, Top Lobster.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that's either way. Art Bell's show is fantastic. If you haven't ever checked out Coast to Coast AM, like he's always had all these weird calls, like shit like this. So I don't know. It seemed like something that was up our alley. I'm definitely gonna have to keep an eye out for more of them now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that's been coming out. Do you know who Keemstar is? He he just recently launched his own news network dealing with aliens and the supernatural type stuff. He did a breakdown of it on a recent LOLcow podcast show with him and Boogie and Wings and whatever. But on there, he was explaining like what he does. He's an aggregator of all the news, because there's like the people who are for disclosure, the people who are against disclosure, the people who think they're coming to save us, the people who think they're coming to harvest our bones or whatever the fuck. There's all these inner battles within the alien community, let's call it. So he documents all of that. Yeah.
There's even a sliver, the fringe of the fringe, man, on that topic.
Okay.
I discovered recently there are people who think that the Bigfoot phenomenon is connected to the UFO phenomenon.
Well, why can't Bigfoot be an alien?
Oh, shit. Tim's UFO Bigfoot pill.
Maybe he went back home and that's why nobody can find him. Who knows?
There we go. Take that, Duke.
Yeah, I want to believe, but, show me.
I don't know. The day there's disclosure, we'll be live on this show.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Or we'll all be dead. Depends on who's right.
Damn. Yeah, it could be Project Bluebeam, too.
Yeah. That's what I always think about is every time I see something about aliens, Project Bluebeam. What if they're just faking it for, everybody always says what the one thing that'll unite the world is an alien invasion. What better way to bring about world government?
Yeah. I mean, between Independence Day, Mars attacks, all that stuff, there's definitely there's definitely the seeds have been planted in media.
For sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I got nothing left for the show, so I figure now is a good time to wrap everything up. And Tim, you got anything you want to plug?
Just the show. Join the Discord. You'll know when we're going live and things like this. Eventually, what we're going to probably do is move it to where the only place you'll get the announcements and the links to the live show will be either on our Twitter feed or on our Discord, so that we can get the cool people in, and then we'll put together the final cut, and then that'll be what's available later on YouTube. So definitely follow on Twitter, definitely join the Discord. All the links are in the description below. That's my plug.
Hell yeah. Go join the Discord, because I am slowly building an army and Helldivers too, for us to go liberate the galaxy and bring democracy everywhere in the stars.
Nice, there you go.
Also, just go check out at Mitch Connor JLo on Twitter, and as I said earlier, go check out 1776 swag. I'm going to have that defund NPR merch up as soon as possible.
Awesome. All right, guys. We're going to plan to probably see you next Tuesday, but again, join and follow so that we can keep you updated. Adios.
Oh yeah.